Welcome to Touched by Type 1 Conversations, a series focused on real discussions and the unfiltered voices of the Type 1 diabetes community. Together, we learn from stories, leadership, and experiences of people touched by Type 1, all led by young people with Type 1 diabetes. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to Touched by Type 1 Conversations, where we have real conversations. My name is Alexis West. I'm 16 years old, and I was diagnosed with Type 1 diabetes when I was 2 years old. I would love to hear more about your Just My Type and your diabetic journey.
I'm Laura. I was diagnosed when I was 5 years old, so almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
And I started Your Just My Type almost 10 years ago.
How did your Just My Type get started?
So I went to school for photojournalism. I was diagnosed at age 5, and growing up, I never had the thought, what do I want to do with my life that has to do with Type 1 diabetes?
Exactly.
I never thought that. I did not think I would do something in the Type 1 space. I went to photojournalism school, and I got to take portraits of people that told these really amazing stories and live in all of these other countries. I always knew I wanted to tell stories with photographs. And I came back home, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I was so lost. And then I met a mom at a wedding, and she was a photographer there. So we start talking about photography. She doesn't know anything about me. And she tells me that she has to get home because her son was just diagnosed with this thing called Type 1 diabetes, and that he felt so alone and cries himself to sleep at night because he thinks he's the only person living with it. And I was stopped in my tracks, and I realized she had mentioned that she can only tell him so many times and like show him statistics on a computer so many times. And so after that conversation, I had the idea to start photographing Type 1 diabetics and sharing their stories online. And so I didn't have any Type 1 friends back then, so I was putting out Facebook posts looking for people living with Type 1 diabetes in Southern California, and I would go meet people, take their portraits. I created this blog, and I called it You're Just My Type. And then when COVID hit, everyone would message, I want to be featured in COVID. And I was always like, this is my baby. I need to photograph people myself. And then when that happened and I couldn't get to people in person, we put out our first submission form. And I was like, okay, anyone that wants to be featured can submit. And then we got pretty big because we started featuring people from Bangladesh and China and India and all over the world. And it created this incredible global T1D community on Instagram.
So it's gone international.
It has gone international. And then in 2021, we decided to transition to in-person events for the first time. So our first one was an event for young girls living with Type 1. It was a full day. We had a Type 1 social worker and behavioral therapist come and lead breakout groups. We had a Type 1 artist do arts and crafts, and the girls got to decorate little diabetes pouches. We had a nutritionist come to do carb counting class and a cooking class. We had a yoga instructor do a yoga class. It was amazing. And I was like, maybe this is what we'll do. But then the adults messaged me and they're like, I think the adults need something like this. The boys need something like this. And I listened and they were right. And since then we put on 48 in-person events for people living with Type 1 of all ages. And they're all focused on the emotional side of living with Type 1.
What was your favorite event to do out of all the events that you've done so far?
This is such a hard question because so many have been so amazing, but I'll tell you a favorite memory I have to start. So we started doing toddler events for the parents, right? Because the kids were so young. They were all like under the age of 3. They didn't really know what was going on.
Exactly.
And I knew the parents needed a place to just come together and be able to talk to each other. And after about a year of doing this, the kids get older and they become more aware. And I happened to be filming these 2 little girls who each had an Omnipod on these monkey bars, and they just looked adorable. So I was like, I have to take a photo of this. I want to take a video of this. And while I'm filming, I captured one of the little girls noticing for the first time that the other one had an Omnipod on, and she jumps down and she runs up to me and she says, I got diabetes like her. And I burst into tears, obviously, and I realized that that event was now for the kids and seeing her notice. And now her mom tells me all the time, she asks when the next event is where she gets to hang out with the other kids like her. But to have that at such a young age when a lot of people don't get to have that is so special. And it's seeing people, we have adults come that have never met another Type 1 in their life, and they come in and when they notice that every single person in the room has it, you can like see them feel lighter, and that is incredible. We have like guided meditations that we do and vision boards, really cool vision boards, and the girls will do like events on inner beauty and get our nails done and do a spa day, and they're just all so much fun. We just want to create spaces for people to find that community, be able to safely talk about what they're struggling with, what all their victories that have happened.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's great. You know, they always say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and now you can see how far that took you.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell a story about type 1 diabetes through a singular photo. It's amazing.
And it was really awesome to put a face to it. It really was an invisible disease when I was diagnosed. Again, there weren't a lot of pumps out, there wasn't CGMs. Now we can spot each other really easily when we wear these devices, but back then you had no idea who else was living with it. So it felt really special to be able to put a face to that for the first time.
Right, like now we see diabetics in the wild, okay?
Everywhere.
No matter where I go, all I see is a Dexcom here, a Dexcom there, a Dexcom everywhere.
My eyes go straight to the back of arms when I'm out. I feel like a hawk. I'm like, where are they? And I find them all the time, all the time.
And it's great because now you see so many more people who get it, whereas before there wasn't. Obviously, we want to find a cure, but seeing those people that live with it, go through it, and understand what you're going through, that's great.
Of course. And yes, we all want a cure, but in the meantime, I feel like we obviously need community.
The cure, in a way, is to find people who can help you with it. Because if you're doing it by yourself, then that's just going to be stressful. That's going to be a lot on you. You're going to get diabetes burnout very fast. But if you find your cure, like your connection, your community, then you can do it.
The advice I give to kids and adults is probably the same, and it's to find your community. And it doesn't have to be a big community, it can just be one person, but for me, that makes all the difference when I'm feeling super burnt out or alone or frustrated. Knowing that I have one person that understands what I'm going through is just life-changing for me. So that's always my advice. Find your people. Don't be afraid to ask for help from those people either.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a diabetic person too, in my opinion. There are some genuine people without type 1 diabetes who just want to be there for you. They want to support you. They want to understand what you're going through. So it's good to find a community of diabetics because they get it, but it's also good to find a community who's going to accept you for having that.
Absolutely.
What gives you hope about the future of type 1 diabetes?
Oh my goodness. I was diagnosed in 1996. CGMs did not exist. Insulin pumps barely existed. Wow. I wasn't put on an insulin pump till I was a bit older, and I didn't get a CGM till I was like in my late 20s. Wow. So when I think about the technology these days, the hope is insane. When people are diagnosed now, some get a CGM the day they're diagnosed in the hospital, and they don't have to know what it's like to not know your blood sugars or to poke your finger all day, every day, or to have to get shots if that's what they don't want to do. So seeing those advancements, reading all these cool articles coming out about stem cell research, so much is happening now, like right now, I feel like is this time for all of these advancements. And like I said, technology has come so far. Yeah. It's been so cool to see.
There's a lot more research and more effort into diabetes more. They have new pumps that are coming out. They have research to try and find a cure for diabetes.
So many options, too.
Like,
we have so many options.
Different things that can help people now, whereas there wasn't as much before. I see so much more effort like in the present. So I'm very happy about that as well. What's one of your biggest challenges that you face with type 1 diabetes?
That's a good question. I feel like as much as I preach to ask for help, it's still really hard for me. I think with type 1 diabetes, it's really easy to be like, I got this, I can do this on my own. There's nothing really anyone else can do when it's me and my body that has to deal with this. And I still have a hard time and learning how to overcome that. I think will probably always be a challenge, but it's not, I've come so far already, but that's probably my biggest is just admitting that I need to sit down and take a break or asking for the help when I need it, even though it really is my piece of advice. I just need to learn how to take my own advice.
Yeah. For me, I've had it 13 years, and I still find myself kind of like, oh, I can figure it out. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. Like, yes, I'll have my family help me, that's one thing, but to tell other people and be like, hey, can you maybe like grab a juice box for me? Or can you grab a low snack for me? It's like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm burdening them.
No, totally.
So that's why I'm more like trying to keep it to myself.
And they want to help.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's hard to understand that and feel that way, especially when you're in the moment.
But some people are happy to help, and I'm very happy to say that there are people out there like that.
Yes, and a great way to weed bad people out of your life are the ones that wouldn't be willing to help in situations like that. It's a very easy way to be like, well, then I don't think you deserve to be in my life.
Exactly. If somebody were not willing to help you in that time of need, that would definitely be a red flag.
And you don't want that person around.
Exactly.
And times when you don't want to be a burden, you have to ask yourself, like, obviously, when I would be like, I don't want to ask someone for help, if any of my friends or family or a stranger told me that they needed me to go grab them something, of course I would do it without even thinking.
It's human instinct.
So I have to remind myself too of like, I would be helping them if they needed it. Of course they're going to be willing to help me.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Have you ever had an awkward or embarrassing moment with diabetes?
Oh my goodness, probably so many. There was one time I was too embarrassed to tell the person I was hanging out with that I was type 1.
That's real.
And it was early on into the hangout, and my blood sugar dropped so low. And I remember walking across the street and like waiting for them to not be facing me. And then I just started shoving glucose tablets in my mouth, thinking that they won't notice if they like turn around. And I was trying to eat them as fast as possible. Of course, I ended up telling them afterwards, but I remember being like, maybe I can get away with treating this low and feeling normal. And of course that.
Getting away with glucose, everybody.
I was like shoving them in my mouth.
No, I get that.
We've had to go to some great lengths. One time a restaurant was closing and I didn't have I thought I had enough low supplies. It was like a sandwich shop and they were all closed up and my friends start banging on their door and they're like, she's diabetic. And they like came out with a soda to give to me because I didn't have anything. And diabetes is so funny, like the fact that it's like, these Skittles will save me.
Right. They're like, oh, so you just get to kind of like eat sugar and then you're fine. I'm like, yeah.
I just feel like it's so unserious of diabetes.
You know, life isn't all, you know, candy and more candy. Like, okay. Okay, so how do we connect with your community or your group?
We have a website, you'rejustmytype.com. We mainly live and thrive on social media and Instagram. Our handle is at You're Just My Type. We post all of our events on there. We feature type 1s from all over the world on there. We post resources. We can subscribe to our newsletter on our website as well, and we'll send you emails about everything we have coming up. We also have a resource on our website where you can type in where you live and your zip code, and it will link you to mental health professionals who are living with type 1 or who specialize in type 1 based on your area.
That's perfect. That's really helpful. I don't think I've ever heard of a source like that, so I will definitely be telling my friends about that.
Yeah, we're proud of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so follow us on social media. We post a lot. We love it on there.
You heard her, guys. Okay. My final question is going to be, what is your one important thing that you want to share with the world?
My message is community is everything.